It's been a pretty hectic week and month for the crypto industry, and in today's video we'll be going over exactly what happened over the course of February and what we can expect for the upcoming months. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Let's jump right into the video. As we normally do, kicking us off with the price action of Bitcoin. Not much has changed, and I gave you guys a little bit of an update in the Discord community, but right now Bitcoin is just sitting between the 200-day moving average and the 86.6K level, which is a crucial level for Bitcoin to surpass if we want to move much higher. Now, I'm not expecting much movement ahead of this weekend. We'll likely see some volatility into the week close. But if we go ahead and consider what the monthly close looked like, guys, it was very negative for Bitcoin, and normally February is a positive month for Bitcoin. So this is something you need to consider. A massive red candle for this month. Now, it doesn't mean that the next month can't be more positive, but it's just something you need to take a look at because this was not a positive sign. But something positive that you want to consider is that it's a new month, and March is historically an up month for Bitcoin. The bad news, however, is that February is also supposed to be an up month for Bitcoin, but this was one of the worst Februaries in history, only after 2014, which we hardly account when it comes to calculating how Bitcoin will perform because that was so early on into the market cycles. So hopefully March is a positive month. We're starting off on the right foot with a little bit of a green candle here, but when we look at the lower time frames, we can see that 86.6K is still acting as resistance. The longer we stay under here, the more I am favoring lower levels around the 73K level. We don't need to go into all of the details as to why that is because we've been going over it time and time again in my most recent videos, but keep your eyes on lower prices for Bitcoin. Now, over the long term, as I've been saying, this is a nice level to be accumulating Bitcoin because in a decade from now, in my opinion, these will be bargain prices. But if you are looking to trade Bitcoin, I would proceed with caution because the longer we're here, the more I would continue to favor shorts. And as per usual, if you're looking to trade this Bitcoin price action, I would highly recommend Weeks. It's the first link in my description down below. With my link, you can earn up to $100 just for connecting your phone number to your account. And if you're a relatively big trader, you can also earn up to $30,000 in bonuses for trading as you normally would. The first link in my description down below. So I'm not going to be over trading this Bitcoin price action. As long as we're bouncing between these levels, I think that you should be proceeding with caution, although I have been a lot more bearish and I've been favoring shorts. And looking at the total crypto market cap, we have tapped into some previous support on the weekly chart, and if we take a look at the monthly chart, we're still above that previous monthly support, although we are still far from the all-time highs. So something you need to consider here is that we could tap back into this level before we go ahead and move on higher. Now, most of this video wasn't going to be charting, so I'll touch on some of the news and some of the things that we need to consider as it pertains to what happened to Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market in February, and also what's going to come in March. Something that could fuel us a little bit further into March is that we did recently get a positive inflow day for the Bitcoin spot ETFs after seeing crazy outflows for over the past week, seeing over $1 billion in outflows, then 750 million, then 275 million. And now, yesterday, we saw $94 million in inflows. Now, normally when the outflows are this large, it could mark a local bottom, but that doesn't mean that we won't come back down and surpass these levels. And so it wouldn't surprise me if we could still see some negative price action in March. Now, there's a lot of opinions about where we currently are in the cycle. Some would argue that we are at the hope phase, which would suggest that there's a lot more room for growth. But there are a lot of people that are extremely bearish here, saying that we are now getting a little bit of a dead cat bounce and that Bitcoin will be moving much lower. I am of the opinion that we could see more correction for Bitcoin, but that the bull market top is still not in. All my research would suggest that we have not topped quite yet. A big topic on the channel since I've turned bearish on Solana at around $190, in particular pricing in these unlocks. We can see that we are now March 1st and there should be 9.7 million Solana unlocked and will likely be flooding the market. Now, I'm seeing a bunch of theories regarding Solana and people are saying that this has already been priced in. And we got quite a nice bounce around $125, popping all the way up to $150. Now, everyone is starting to turn a little bit more bullish on Solana, but I would argue that the low still isn't in. I think that before we see Solana's next actual big move, we will be consolidating within this range. So we could go as low as $120 and surpass the previous wick that we just set. Make sure you consider that when it comes to trading Solana. But as I said, I've been vocally bearish since $190, and I think that we will chop around this range before moving much further. Now, what actually happened over the course of February and what can we expect for March? So there's been some very positive news, to be honest, coming out of February. A lot of the positive news came from the SEC revoking some of their enforcement actions against crypto companies, which is very nice to see because it should foster a much better environment for crypto companies to operate. These companies included Coinbase, Uniswap, Robinhood's crypto unit, Gemini, Consensus, OpenSea, Debtbox, Hex, Paxos, and Hyro Systems. Now, what actually happened over the course of February and how can this navigate us into March? The next thing is that, of course, they dropped their key cases, as we just discussed. They started acknowledging a lot more crypto ETFs, such as spot Solana ETF applications from Canary, VanEck, Bitwise, 21 Shares. And along with this, we saw some spot XRP ETF filings. And then North Carolina also introduced a bill to establish a Bitcoin strategic reserve. The Texas senator also proposed a Bitcoin strategic reserve. We're seeing state after state trying to push the strategic Bitcoin reserve. And gradually, based on everything that I've been reading, this would suggest that it could happen at a country level sooner than we may think. Then we also have MicroStrategy's major Bitcoin acquisition. They did acquire 20,000 Bitcoin for $2 billion at an average price of 97.5K, which seems crazy now considering that Bitcoin is just hovering around 84.5K at the time of recording this video. Then we saw some more news in terms of institutional and corporate investments. An SEC filing revealed that Goldman Sachs owns almost $1.6 billion worth of Bitcoin ETFs through BlackRock and Fidelity, which signals strong institutional confidence in Bitcoin. Citadel has also entered crypto market making and announced plans to provide liquidity to Coinbase, Binance, Crypto.com, and other major exchanges. Of course, the FTX began customer repayments, which is nice for the customers that had under $50,000. They started to get some of their funds back. NASDAQ welcomed a Bitcoin-only company for the first time ever, and BlackRock continued to expand its Bitcoin offerings as it's set to list a Bitcoin ETP in Europe, expanding access to Bitcoin investments for European investors. And it's funny because as I go through this list, these are inherently positive things. Look, the market sentiment and performance. NVIDIA's strong Q4 earnings, they reported $39.3 billion in revenue, surpassing their expectations by 2.7%. The Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, naturally because Bitcoin dumped so hard, it hit a level of 10, which was not seen since June 2022. That's why, despite the price action of Bitcoin, I've been accumulating in my spot positions, even at these levels, even if we can go lower, and even though in relation to trading, I've been favoring shorts in this market. And again, a little side note here, if you want to trade with me, make sure to click the first link in my description down below. It brings you directly to Weeks, one of the top crypto exchanges. Coinbase also had very strong earnings above expectations, and then we also have the fact that GameStop has considered to start investing in Bitcoin. They have billions of dollars in cash, and so this would obviously be huge. The only negative thing is the actual sentiment of the market, despite all of these positive news pieces coming out. Howard Lutnick was also named the Secretary of Commerce. The reason why this is significant is because he's been a longtime advocate of financial innovation, and this could, of course, influence crypto-friendly policies. Trump also proposed a Bitcoin Plus ETF, making him the first U.S. president to directly issue an ETF. Obviously, he wants to get involved here. And then the SEC came out and reinforced its crypto unit, which essentially involves reassigning 50 new lawyers, marking the first major move by the Trump administration in shaping digital asset regulation. Overall, despite all these positive developments in the crypto space, we did see Bitcoin have its second worst February ever, with only 2014 being worse. Is this an opportunity to buy the dip on spot? I think so, but when it comes to trading, I still think that we could be seeing lower levels for Bitcoin before we're ready for our next leg higher. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.